and I think I'm mentally tough. Well, I know I am, and I think that's where everybody else kind of loses out. They got the skills, but I think skills are 20% of the equation. I think it's mostly 80% mental toughness, and that's where I would excel. I would constantly be out there and making the situation better. And these guys get out there and they have no work ethic. They just sit around in the shade waiting for somebody to bring them water, or hopefully somebody else will catch something and bring it home for them to eat. But that's not what I would be. I would be constantly out there, making cordage so I could make traps, or make a bow out of bamboo so I could, shoot something, or put a roof on a hut that's a little more durable than what they do so they don't get wet when it rains. And they always seem shocked that they're cold when it's raining, and but they didn't do any effort to make their situation better. And I would constantly be making my situation better. And I think that's because I grew up a little different than everybody else. There's 12 kids in my family, 8 girls and 4 boys, and my parents were nuts. They would move every 6 months. We would move every 3 months. We'd pack our shit, and we had each kid had one apple box that you would put all your belongings in, and you would live out of that apple box. And then you'd get to your new place, and you'd live there for 3 months, and then pack all your shit back up into your apple box, and they would load it in the van, and you would move somewhere else. And I've probably lived in 30 different houses just here in Arizona alone, and we lived all over. The longest I lived in any one place when I was a kid was 9 months. I lived in New Zealand while one of my sisters was being born there, and my parents are just nuts. Sometimes we would live for months at a time at a campground, and when you're a kid, you don't realize that your parents are crazy. You just think that's kind of normal, but so we would hang out at the lake all the time and learn to fish and catch crawdads and do survival kind of stuff. But I didn't realize they were kind of prepping me for the show. And one time we were moving from one place to the other, and it was back before you had credit cards, and mom didn't have a credit card, or dad, and they just had a little bit of cash. And we ended up getting separated, and my mom was in one van with half the kids, and dad was in the van with another half of kids. And we got split up, and dad didn't have any money, and mom couldn't find him. She ended up just keep going to the destination, and dad was there with no money. And so what he did was he dropped all the kids off at McDonald's. They used to have a playground area, so he left us $3, and we could all, between all that money, we could buy a hamburger or whatever. And we just spent all day hanging out at the McDonald's in the playground. And he did that for a week. He'd just keep dropping us off, and then come back and get us at the end of the day. And he'd go out and do side jobs and lay carpet, or do what he could do to make enough money to get enough gas money to get us to the final destination. And most kids didn't have that kind of situation. I think I could build anything out of just stuff, and I think that's from growing up poor. I never had money, but I like to have nice stuff. But I would take and just build it myself, So if I want a kick-ass stereo system, I take it and I build all the components for it, and build the speaker box and make everything really cool. But it's not something I'd go out and pay somebody else to do. Something I could do myself. This truck I'm sitting in right now is a 1956 Ford F100, and I'm building it all myself. I redid the whole chassis. It's got a new 4-link suspension in the back, air ride all the way around. It's got a LS2 motor out of a Corvette, and then I put a turbo on it, so it's 800 horsepower. I rebuilt the motor myself, rebuilt the transmission myself. I even built the computer that runs the motor, built the computer that runs the transmission, and I ordered all those components, the capacitors, resistors, all that stuff, the diodes, and I had to learn about all that, and then soldered it all together and made the motherboard to make the computer that runs the whole engine, the whole system. So I pretty much do everything myself. And if I don't know how to do it, I just get on the internet. It's amazing. You can just learn how to do everything on the internet. And that's kind of, I think, one of my worst character traits too, is I have a lack of focus. Because I learn about something, I'm like, oh my god, I gotta go learn how to do that. And I want to be able to build a truck from nothing, or I want to be able to sew or do whatever, and I just learn about it, and then I get stuck on it, and I do that, and I learn about it, and then I'm like, oh wait, something over here that's really cool, and I'll go learn about that. And so that's one of my biggest problems in life, is my lack of focus. If I was focused and driven to one single thing, I could take over the world doing that. But I'd rather be able to do everything, and I'm pretty good at just about everything, and there's nothing I can't do. And if I can't do it, it's just because I haven't tried. So this will be an interesting experience for me. I know I'll kick ass at it. I mean, how hard can it be? You know, you're out there just living on your own. I've been on my own since I was 16. I moved out as soon as I could drive. I started living on my own. Never went to college. I ended up right now what I do is I work for the city of Phoenix, and I'm like a project manager, civil engineer kind of guy. And I found out when I started working there that you could actually get your engineering degree without having to go to school, and you could just do it based on experience and knowledge. And so every day back and forth to work, I'd ride the bus, and so for a half hour in, I would study college books on calculus and dynamics and thermodynamics and statics and all this stuff, and I taught myself everything you need to know at 4 years of college. And after 6 months of doing that back and forth to work, a half hour each way, I was able to go take the fundamentals of engineering exam and pass the test that you would pass to get out of college and get your engineering degree. So I passed that, and and then so now I got my engineering degree. I've done a lot of things in the world. I've traveled. I'm well traveled and adventurous. I mean, I have New Zealand citizenship as well as USA citizenship. I've visited heaps of places. Been petted tigers in Thailand, and elephant trekking in Malaysia, and swimming with sharks in Fiji, and scuba diving on the Great Barrier Reef, and hang gliding in New Zealand. All this cool stuff I've done, and I think it's made me a better person. Maybe I'm self-reliant in any situation, and that's why I want to do this. It'll give me the confidence, to actually go live on my own if I wanted, and live on a deserted island somewhere in the world that I'm sure someday I'll probably end up actually doing that, and not just for a TV show. So I don't know what else you want to know, but I'm your guy. So give me a call, and I'll see you on the next season. Thanks.